This is the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com, hosted by Jerry and Mark, your one-stop shop for all horrible movie reviews. From the latest blockbusters and independent films to classics, let Mark and Jerry convince you the world is a dangerous place, though often good for a laugh. Now come and listen to the Horror Movie Show, if you dare.
Howdy folks, Jerry here.
And Mark.
Bringing you another episode of the Horror Movie Show here on hmpod.com. And what are we going to be talking about today? We got a bunch of movies to talk about, including the new Avengers movie, Age of Ultron. But first, fair warning here, we're going to be talking about Season 5, the final episodes of Season 5 of The Walking Dead. So if you live in Botswana or some other part of the world where
where most of our listeners live.
A surprising number of listener,
yeah.
Okay, so The Walking Dead Season 5. Well, I thought this was the best season yet.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
I know that you rewatched the whole series recently, so you have a better perspective on it.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. Well, I think I mentioned this before, but you watch the series from the start, and the zombies
behave slightly different.
Yeah, they have intelligence. They're picking up rocks and banging them against glass and stuff.
But they lose that quite quickly.
They do. And what I don't understand... here's the other thing that I wanted to mention. I've been reading the comics. I've got through, I think I've read the first 16, well over 100 of the issues.
Yeah, they're up to 140, I think.
Jesus. Now. So I've read the first 16, black and white, not even any color on them. What a rip-off.
Color does not enhance the storyline.
So it costs, I think it's $2.50, each issue is $2.50 US, $4, like $3.95 Canadian.
Isn't that ridiculous?
That's really expensive when you're going with over 100. So you're talking a good $500 to read all the comics in Canada.
Yeah.
And I have to say that the TV series is much, much better. The comics, certainly in the first dozen or so, people are constantly crying. Just weeping. Rick's crying. His wife is screaming. His kid's crying. It's interesting because I can see how people say, well, you can't rely on the comics to tell you what's coming in, say, the next season. They come across the prison in the comics fairly quickly. Mm-hmm. Tyrese is a member of the group fairly quickly.
And Shane dies very quickly.
That's right. And it isn't the big soap opera, the TV series. It's more zombie killings. So every issue there's a zombie fight, and every issue some dude cries. And, I am not impressed. There's typos. There's cussing when there doesn't need to be cussing, which just annoys me. You just say, here comes the zombies, not here comes the effing zombies. You don't need to use the F word in there. It's just childish.
What would you say if the zombie was coming over the ridge?
You stay here. I'm going this way.
Yeah, Mark, look at over here.
I only have to outrun you.
That's right.
Yeah. So anyway, to the TV series, yes, much, much better. And now that I've talked about the comics, I may not read any more of them because I find them tiresome. And not even well drawn. At the beginning, they got in a third partner working on the comics. But the first several issues are just two guys. And they, like Lori, for example, Rick's wife, is drawn in such a fashion that she just looks like a harpy. She just looks like a rat bag. Visually, the comics are just no fun. And that's one of the great things about the TV series, is that the look of it. It's really well done.
Yeah, they do.
And that goes to show the depth that the team brings to the TV series.
Right.
Right from the start, it had a good look. What I don't understand is how the zombies in the first couple of episodes were able to use tools. And then they lost that episode because in the comics, I don't think they're picking up rocks or anything.
Okay.
If that was a change, it's just weird. I don't.
Well, they're just starting out.
Yeah.
They're creating it on the spot, so to speak.
But you're not. You don't write one episode and then film it and then write a second episode. They must have had the first season's episodes mapped out.
Maybe they did it. First 3 shows were kind of like the pilot, and after that they decided it was going to go, and that's when things changed.
You can try and excuse them, but it was a big mistake, and it's something a mistake that shouldn't have been made at the beginning. It's just weird. Suddenly the zombies become stupider. I think it would have been more interesting if the zombies had a little bit of brains to them.
It's funny because you're saying that characters getting stupider as a series goes on.
Oh, zombies.
But it's funny how you watch some sitcoms and things like that, and you see characters that were actually sort of intelligent at the beginning become complete dopes as the series progressed because they were refining their character.
Funnier.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Kramer, for example, he's not a zombie. He's the next door neighbor.
No, I know. I just think that it's funny how people sometimes think dumber's better.
Well, no, I don't think that. I think consistency is better, and I think that's a big mistake. If the zombies in the first couple of episodes can break down glass doors, then keep it that way. And that's another thing that the survivors have to survive.
What if they were like fresh zombies? Yeah. So now they have a little of intellect, but as time progressed, the zombies are becoming dumber.
Because the last episode of the first year, we see exactly how stupid the zombies are. We see that the brain is dead, except for that small reptile brain at the center, which lights up. Right. We see in the CDC lab that.
I would like to see more of the lab stuff.
Yeah, I know. The whole second season at the farm, I thought, was a little slow. That was the slowest season, the second one. But I really enjoyed the 5th one. Boy, we were losing characters left, right, and center.
Yeah.
We lost Tyrese. We lost the little sister. We lost Beth. I thought we were going to lose Sasha.
Sure looked that way.
Yeah. And now here they are in the little town, second little town that they've gone to, and the very last episode, Rick has reverted to just wanting to take orders. He doesn't want to be the leader anymore. So when the mayor of this little town says do it, he executes on her command.
Right.
So he is taking a big step backwards, but what a relief for him to not have to make all the decisions, which he's been doing.
Yeah, once again,
however,
he goes a little mental.
He chose a bad time to start following emotional orders. Just as his pal, I can't remember his name, the black dude from the very first episode.
He shows up again.
Yeah, well, he shows up, and he's got this sort of Zen philosophy now, where live and let live. Can't we all just get along? Although he's really good with that stick. And where along the line did a madman develop this ability to use a stick like Robin Hood and Little John? He's using a staff the way a medieval hitman would have.
That's right. It's like I'm watching the Daredevil series on TV, and they have this guy called Stick, and he
uses a stick.
He's a martial arts perfectionist, and he's blind as well.
Oh, good.
So he's just whoop, the stick all over the place.
Right.
He's reminds me of the Rat and the Ninja Turtles too.
I've never watched any of the Ninja Turtles apart from seeing some of the cartoons when they were first on. And even then, only a moment or two.
Oh, those were really bad. The cartoons?
Well, they're all really bad.
Yeah, well. I didn't mind the last movie. I really didn't.
All right. Good. Glad you liked it. I'm not going to see it.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, a lot of people panned it. I watched it. I said, what the hell? I've seen worse.
Okay. Damn the faint praise. And we lost Bob. We almost lost Father Gabriel, although finally, his stony facade broke down, and we see that he's really just a hurt individual.
I just thought the scene where he's telling the mayor of the city to not trust Rick.
Right.
They are not trustworthy and all this stuff.
They seem.
And I'm going, okay.
Well, yeah, but in hindsight, everything that he said to her is about himself. He's not what he appears to be. He's the one who shouldn't be trusted.
Oh, yeah.
But now that he's broken, maybe he can finally, because everything, he's a believer in God, he's a believer in faith, blah, blah, blah. Well, a zombie apocalypse is going to shake your faith in a just and lovely universe.
Well, they all talk about, the end of days and things like that. If it ever happened, they'd be quite surprised.
Yeah. So, what did you think? As I say, I thought this was the best season. What did you think of season 5?
It had its moments. I've only watched the shows once, right? So I haven't really sat there and analyzed them as a whole.
Right.
And I found that every time I thought, something really exciting is going to happen, they tone it down. They
really?
Yeah. Sometimes I see the commercial for the next week, and I'm going, what's going to happen? Oh, look at all this exciting stuff. And then I'd watch it, and I'm going, they're just sitting around talking all the show.
Oh, no way. Not this 5th season. They were doing that previously. This season began with them having their throats cut and being bled out like pigs.
Yeah, the beginning of the season was wonderful. And then I thought towards the end of the first half, it slowed down again. And then I'm expecting it to pick up right away when the second half starts, and it didn't pick up right away. And I don't know. I just going.
And what about those 2 poor little girls? One of them just went totally insane and murdered the other.
Yeah.
Because she's taking political correctness too far.
Yeah.
She thinks, well, if white people and black people and Asian people can all look different but all still be humans, then can't the zombies?
Yeah.
Because what else are they? By the way, they use the word zombie in the comics.
Do they?
They've never used the word zombie in the TV series.
No.
But they'll use it in the comics.
Well, there you go.
I think that's funny because it's not as if it's a copywritten word. But in this alternate universe that The Walking Dead inhabits, I guess there was no George Romero. There was no Night of the Living Dead, or they'd constantly be sitting around going, good God, this is just like George Romero's Night of the Living Dead.
My son was reading up on the new series that's going to start up, and it's being shot in Vancouver.
What is it? The start of The Walking Dead? What's it called?
I have no idea.
Beginning of The Walking. Yes, it is being shot here in Vancouver, and it's
supposed to be L.A.
Outbreak.
It's supposed to be L.A., but it's being shot up here. So.
Oh yeah. We've stood in for other cities.
What really surprised me? Vancouver is every city in North America.
Yeah.
On the Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever,
right.
They actually went to Vancouver.
Yeah.
They didn't shoot the scenes here.
Funny.
I laughed. I'm going, where the hell are they?
Why would they come to Vancouver?
Why not?
Well, was there monsters here?
Or something, or some agent, they were looking for somebody and he was in Vancouver.
Okay.
So they came here and they didn't shoot it here. So I'm going, well, what a reversal.
Yeah. Probably already mentioned this, but the first time I ever really saw Vancouver featured in a movie was the Jackie Chan movie, which was supposed to be set in New York.
I remember that.
And as they're filming scenes in a car, you could see out, because they're going left and they're going right, and you could see landmarks going by on either side. So the conversation that they were having was taking place in the world's longest car because they were in opposite parts of the city. It was a very weird looking thing. And I saw it here in Vancouver. Rumble in the Bronx is what it was called. And everybody was killing themselves laughing at it because it was edited so badly.
Well,
but it wouldn't be a problem for anybody outside of Vancouver. But for a home audience, we could just see how they'd mangled the city so that it was like just a hodgepodge of random
they do that
scenes.
They do that all the time,
I suppose. But this was done in such a way that it was really obvious that
the two scenes were different. Yeah.
I mean, they could have just gone around the block and been consistent, but no, they drove all the way up and down the main streets, filming the whole time, and flying on a helicopter, going over the Granville Street Bridge, which is the bridge that leads to downtown Vancouver. Oh, it's so nice to be here in New York City. So nice, Hey, it's the Cecil Hotel. I've got drunk in there, Oh, here we are in Manhattan. It's so nice in Manhattan. Thanks, Jackie. I just saw him in a movie called Dragon Blade, a Chinese movie. He directed it, and he stars in it. We'll talk about it after you've seen it.
Right.
But it was Chinese fantasies. I'm not a big fan. The Hidden Tiger, Crouching Dragon sorts of movies. The non-stop martial arts.
Right.
A little goes a long way for me.
Well, that's it. Yeah. I mean, there's got to be a balance. Yeah. There's got to be story as well as the reason for fighting.
Well, we were saying last week about Mad Max Fury Road. It's just, if it's all a car chase, where's the movie?
Yeah, exactly.
The movie's in the glove compartment, in the lead car. All right. Well, now I want to just mention. Oh no, let's talk about the new Avengers movie, Age of Ultron.
Right.
So it stars the usual cast, and well, I mean it's generic, and James Spader doing the voice of Ultron. Now what the hell is Ultron? Is he a robot from an evil galaxy? I didn't catch where he came from.
Well, he's artificial intelligence from that.
It was in fact
from the staff.
It was Stark and
he takes it
and
from
the Hulk who were making him, right?
Yeah, they took the essence of the staff that Loki had. The gem in there, had some sort of.
How could that possibly be evil? When Loki was using it. What a couple of idiots they are. And they're supposed to be super geniuses.
Yeah, but Stark seems to be under the impression that AI is the answer to saving the Earth from aliens because it's the only thing that can make the decisions fast enough in order to protect us. Make a bubble.
Bad logic.
No, I didn't like the storyline much. No. I just...
It wasn't much of a story.
No, there wasn't. Really. I mean, it was just this...
Lots and lots of explosions and cities blowing up and all that stuff, which was exactly the same as the previous one. Way too similar. Way too similar.
The original one at least had a humor to it.
Yeah.
I didn't find the humor there this time. No. Now, when they interviewed Joss Whedon, he said that he made a bunch of mistakes in the first movie that he want to rectify in this movie.
God help us.
That he can improve the characters. Right. I didn't see it.
Right.
I didn't see any grand improvement over the characterizations this time around. I mean, it was
felt like a sequel to me.
Yeah,
it felt like a carbon copy.
I didn't think that the storyline overall story was that great. It's based on a comic story where they went multiple issues across the Marvel universe. The Age of Ultron was around for years.
God help us.
And I'm going, geez, I think the problem with this movie is it was too comic book like. Whereas the other ones, they try to give a little depth to the characters, a little more depth and interactions with each other. There was little of that.
Yeah.
It was just a punch 'em up.
So what was the point of Iron Man's Hulk-sized Iron Man suit?
Yeah.
Because he's in an Iron Man costume inside of a giant Iron Man costume, and he's fighting with the Hulk. But what the hell point was the giant suit? Does it get destroyed right away?
It does get destroyed.
So what the hell's the point of it, except that it's another special effect?
Yeah. It was...
I mean, he built a giant Iron Man suit. It ought to have giant powers. He ought to be able to do anything in that thing. And yet,
well, yeah,
it should
be able to launch this nuclear missile out of the belly or something.
Yeah.
It's
just daft.
That's the whole thing with the Hulk character, and I've never really saw the appeal. No. Is that he is so... He's mad.
Yeah.
He's mad. At the beginning, he couldn't talk in the comic.
Right.
He was just this guy that went pounding.
Yeah.
And then somebody at some point in Marvel said, let's make him intelligent when he's the Hulk.
Semi-intelligent. Yeah.
So he was actually had the brain of Banner when he was in the Hulk.
No, I remember, though, he used to talk like, Me jump good.
Yeah.
Leg muscle not just for show.
Yeah, but it was simple stuff, but they actually made him a scientist's brain in the Hulk when he became the Hulk.
He talked like an idiot. He talked
no,
like a retarded child.
I said at some point they decided to do that.
Oh, all right.
And they created a Hulk.
His fingers
that
are
was
too big.
smart.
He couldn't use a keyboard.
Anyway, I enjoy characters that have some depth. The Hulk seems to me to have no depth when he's the Hulk.
Yeah.
When he's Bruce Banner, there's a lot of depth there and a lot of angst. But at the same time, it's like when I don't know, I just get tired.
Yeah.
Tired of the Hulk.
Yeah.
At least there was some humor with him in the last movie in that, he picks up Loki and goes smash, smash, smash,
nice.
and puny human or whatever he said, or God, puny God. Funny stuff. But in this one, nothing. I've only seen it once so far, so I
Jeez, that's enough.
But those type of movies I like to watch over and over to see if they like the third.
See if it gets better.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
Well, see, like the third Iron Man movie.
Yeah,
you raved about.
Yeah, it was fun.
And when I first saw it, for some reason I wasn't in the mindset or whatever. It just was not what I was expecting. I was disappointed. But I've seen it like 4 times since, and every time I watch it, I like it more.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that,
I'm glad I liked it right away, because there's no way I'm going to watch that one 4 times.
Well,
I just watched all the Kubrick movies again. I don't have time to watch Iron Man 3 4 times.
Well, I do.
Horrible.
So, I like it. So I'm hoping that this will grow on me as well and plus I had a tough time hearing the dialogue in the movie.
Why?
I don't know why. It was muffled. The one-liners, I kept missing what they were saying.
Well, it certainly wasn't clever. So I keep seeing online people want the Scarlett Johansson character. What's her name?
Black
Widow. People saying, now's the time for a Black Widow movie. But, I like that character when she was around in the 60s, and she was called Emma Peel on the Avengers. The original, the real Avengers. And talk about a rip-off.
They did a
beautiful, bountiful babe in black leather, skin-tight black leather. Well, you just can't dress Scarlett Johansson up in skin-tight black leather often enough, because she looked good under the skin, too.
Yeah.
But for Pete's sake, it's done.
Funny. Well, it's funny because they did a parody of that on Saturday Night Live. She hosted a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. And they did a parody of what her movie would be like, and it was like this falling in love movie where all these, she's blushing and all this stuff. It was funny. Yeah. It was very funny.
Well, when Jeremy Renner hosted SNL a couple of years ago, they did a takeoff on the first Avengers movie where all the main characters, all the Avengers are standing around in a circle, and Hawkeye has run out of arrows. So he's now completely and utterly useless. And they're saying, all right, Hulk, you do this. Iron Man, you do this. Captain, you do this. Hawkeye, I'm out of arrows. Oh.
But he beats people with his arrow.
I know, but he's so out of his league. Scarlett Johansson's a babe, but what's Hawkeye's excuse?
Well, he's talented anyway.
Sure,
what he does, he's smart.
Green Arrow ripoff is what he is.
Yes, definitely a Green Arrow ripoff. But then again, Marvel and DC did that back and forth stuff. I didn't like Green Arrow either.
When
someone invented somebody with a new power, they had to make it in the Marvel universe as well. Or like,
you looking forward to seeing Ant-Man?
I've seen the trailer.
Yeah.
It could be good. I don't know.
Well, I like Paul Rudd. He's a funny little guy.
Yeah. It's hard to say what it's going to be like.
Yeah. He's always entertaining anyway. Although he does tend to fall into that group of Hollywood pals, along with James Franco and Franco's chubby pal, what's his name? Seth Rogen from Vancouver.
Yeah.
The Amazing Trixie coined the term stupid comedy for what those guys make.
Yeah.
Like, I saw the movie about Korea, killing Kim Jong-un.
Yeah.
I saw that. Was it The Interview?
That's it.
What an awful, terrible movie. This is what people don't acknowledge. When a movie has controversy attached to it for any reason, people tend to ignore the fact that it's simply not a very good movie. You know, way more people saw The Interview than it deserved.
Yeah.
Because it's not a funny movie.
There was only a couple laughs in it that I found.
Yeah.
There was a few scenes that I said, oh, that was clever. But otherwise, it was
so mean-spirited. I mean, okay, Kim Jong-un is an asshole. You know, I think we can all agree. Dictators by definition.
I'm not saying anything.
Are dickheads. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I didn't say it. It's your point of view.
That nuclear missile will be coming just for me.
Well, I always thought that Vancouver should be destroyed more in movies. So, not in real life, though.
Oh, terrible movie.
Yeah, well, same with the Green Hornet.
Yeah.
Oh.
Seth Rogen again. Yeah.
Never give it to... Seth can't do something good.
I've been really disappointed by all the movies that him and Franco have been attached to together. This Is the End. Terrible movie. And they think, because they've got this group of stoner pals, and so they laugh at each other's jokes and they back each other up and they get financing, and the next thing you know, they've made another terrible movie like Pineapple Express or This Is the End.
I don't know. I thought Pineapple Express was pretty funny.
Did you? I was disappointed by that. I was hoping to like it. I was like a stoner movie.
They're doing a sequel, I think.
Yes, I've heard that.
Yeah, so...
It's one stupid stoner joke after another. Cheech and Chong did it. They did it like 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was enough of it. You don't need more of it. Because
there have been a lot of movies like that, though.
Well, I mean,
stoner movies.
All the stoners that I know, they'll watch a Cheech and Chong. If they like Cheech and Chong, they'll watch it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Therefore, you really don't have to make any more.
No,
because there's enough.
Yeah.
And you just watch Nice Dreams over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Terrible
I
movies.
agree. You don't necessarily have to make more of them.
No, just watch them again. All right, well, I'm just going to very briefly mention one, because these good folks were sweet enough to send me, unasked even, they sent me a screener for Hillbilly Horror Show Volume 4.
Volume 4?
Volume 4, yeah. So I've given them mentions and given them little plugs and stuff on Eli Roth's Crypt app, which is up in the air right now. I have no idea what the state of that is. The people behind it seem to mostly be focusing on little 7-second Vine movies,
clips,
which is ridiculous. Not much of an art form. The best you can do is conjure an emotion, I find. Like, you can scare somebody quickly, have a quick laugh.
Right.
But there's just 6-7 seconds. I'm sorry. There will come a time when we despair that we don't have the attention span to watch a 30-second commercial anymore. I'm sorry, that's over 5 seconds. That's just too long and boring.
Yeah.
Oh, scary. Next week we'll be talking about the ABCs of Death 2. There's a movie for those with no attention spans.
Yeah.
26, 27 tiny little movies. Okay, so Hillbilly Horror Show. What this is 3 main characters, Bo Keister, Rachel Faulkner, and Scott Geiter, and they are hillbillies. They live in a trailer. Rachel is a fabulous babe, needless to say. And Bo does most of the talking. Scott sits there and grunts and smiles every now and then. He's a Facebook friend of mine. Hey, Scott. And the format is that these 3 hillbillies jibber jabber and, talk their funny hillbilly slang. And in between their little comedy sketches, which are sort of free form, I guess you'd call them. There's no real sketch involved. It's just, badinage, a little back and forth jibber jabber. But in between, they show short movies.
Oh.
Which they didn't make. Just short horror movies by other folks. So it's a nice way to see little movies.
Right.
So if, and it's difficult. It's easier now with YouTube and so on, of course, that if a short is available, you can find it online. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times movie makers don't want to just put their movie out for free.
Right.
So this is a way to...
So it's an anthology of kind of sorts.
Yeah, of sorts, yeah. Yeah, very, very loose sort of anthology. So this is the only one I've seen, number 4. But from what I understand, they're all pretty much like this. You know,
right.
The funny hillbillies interspersed with short films.
So they're almost doing like an Elvira kind of thing where you have a host.
That's right.
They're hosts.
Only little movies rather than a feature-length one with interruptions.
Right.
Which could also be fun. Like, you know, they'd be a funny group to do audio commentaries.
Right.
You know, that Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of
yeah.
thing. And of course our own small contribution to audio commentaries. We try to put our own comedy in there. So anyway, Hillbilly Horror Show, it's fun. If you want to see some short movies that you may not be able to find anywhere else, definitely a good source. And way more information online than I can give you here. So check it out, the Hillbilly Horror Show.
What did you think of the clips?
Oh, they were good. You know, they up and down. Some of them were better than others.
And the length, like from a couple minutes to...
Yeah, I think the shortest one was 6 or 7 minutes to something over 10 minutes, and there was it 4, maybe 5.
Okay.
I watched it in over a couple of goes, so you know it's a fair amount of entertainment for your dollars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're likable, and the cameraman or the director Sharif Salama, he doesn't sound like a hillbilly name, except the sheriff part. He has a tendency to set his camera on a close-up of Rachel Faulkner's boobs and just keep the camera on while Bo is talking. There's a close-up on her freckled bosom. Yeah. There's worse things to look at. In fact, I'd rather look at that than Bo. Who wouldn't? You know?
Okay. Yeah. Well, okay, we know where your fetish lies.
Yeah. I'm unique. I'm unique there. I like a nice pair of boobs on a girl. Okay, so I mean, it's supposed to be funny, but yeah, it's pretty sexist. You know, they're not. They're hillbillies. They're not going for political correctness. Yeah, absolutely.
They are obviously not Republicans.
Oh, that's the opposite. They would be Republicans because they're idiots.
Okay.
Right.
So they're a quagmire there. You know, it's like conundrum.
Yes. Oh, the left has got good boobs. On our side. Okay, so the next couple of movies I paired only because the titles sounded similar, and I just watched another one last night called that had another. We'll get to it when we get to it. So the first one is The Lazarus Effect, directed by David Gelb, written by Luke Dawson and Jeremy Slater. It stars speaking of lovely, Olivia Wilde as Zoe, Mark Duplass as Frank, Sarah Bolger as Eva, Evan Peters as Clay, and Ray Wise as the big villain, Mr. Wallace. So The Lazarus Effect, I liked it better the first time I saw it back in the 80s when it starred Kevin Bacon and Julia Roberts. And it was about medical students bringing themselves back to life.
Uh-huh.
What was that called?
Can't remember.
Yeah. Anyway, very, very similar sort of story. They're looking to reanimate dead tissue. So it's the old Frankenstein story.
Right.
And, oh dear, Zoe, the beautiful Olivia Wilde, has been, I think, electrocuted. So what the hell? Let's try it on her. You know, way before anybody would think this is worth trying.
They succeed with a bunny first, I believe,
or a cat.
A dog.
A dog. Yeah.
They end up with a dog anyway, and they bring the dog back to life, and he seems to be fine.
Yeah.
He does some weird things, like he mounts himself in her bed. For some reason, he's in her bedroom and just stares at her at night and then goes away.
Yeah.
And then she gets it done to her because she's like she's brought back to life. Yeah. And then they find out the repercussions of that.
Yeah. And
once again, they bring back that 10% of the brain shit.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, they mention that. Oh, well, only 10% of the brain. Well, now
it's rubbish. the plot line that perhaps she didn't come back into her body alone, that some sort of malevolent entity came back into her body when it was empty. That was a short story I read years and years ago, and the idea was not so much like in the Lazarus Effect where it's, using chemicals and electricity to bring a corpse back, but that people are being frozen, put in suspended animation for decades, until diseases, whatever, can be cured. And then they're thawed out and fixed up. Well, what happens when they thaw this one person out is that, because they are dead,
right?
There's no way you can consider them not to be dead when they're frozen solid as a cold mackerel. Well, something else has moved in when the human spirit left the body. And that's pretty much the exact same thing happens in the Lazarus Effect.
Not necessarily. The take I got of this was that she started using more of her brain, and therefore she became more than what she was previously, and that her philosophies or her life in general went and took a turn for the, godlike thing happening to her.
Oh, I didn't see that.
That's what I think, that her mind expanded, that suddenly human endeavors were no
sounds
longer...
like you're describing the Scarlett Johansson movie.
No, but this is the same. This is the same type of thing happening here.
Oh, I didn't find that. I mean, her eyes go black and all that stuff. What she's got is demonic powers. It's not her brain that's doing it.
No,
it's not her doing it. She may be there, but it's the creature that came back and is inside her body that's running things. That's dangerous.
That's not what I got from this movie.
All right. Well, that was my interpretation.
I just took it that she's using more of her brain, and therefore she's got these powers again.
I don't know. It seems to me you're mixing up that Scarlett Johansson movie where she gets overdosed on a drug and suddenly she's supposed to be using 100% of her brain, and she's got massive telekinetic powers and stuff. In this one, she's possessed by a demon.
I never got the demon part.
Oh, okay. All right, and in the next movie, which is, I don't know, it just felt like a similar sort of story to me. The Phoenix Project, written and directed by Tyler Graham Pavey, stars Corey Rieger as Perry, Andrew Simpson as Devon, David Pesta as Ampersand, and Orson Osman as Carter. Orson Osman is the son of David Osman, who's one of the Firesign Theatre dudes.
Oh, okay. So there's a reference you don't hear every day.
A little dynasty going on there. And they all do a really good job in this movie, the four young men. It's just those four dudes.
In a house.
In a house, yeah.
Now, this is...
What's their experiment about, Mark?
Well, basically, they want to reanimate tissue again. Same thing, as always. And they're all scientists. This is really not... I didn't find it very horrific at all.
No, it's underplayed.
It's science.
Yeah.
Science at its purest. They're trying to reanimate tissue, and once again, there's an accident,
right?
And there's a body sitting there, and they want to take that giant leap of, let's bring this back. What harm could it do?
Yeah.
Which brings
nothing but harm.
Which brings up the questions of the ethics of science discovery. Are we going too fast? Are we venturing into areas that we should really take our time with before, just plowing in there? That's the types of questions that this movie arises. And at the end, there's definitely repercussions for going too fast.
Yes, and too far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I thought it was well done. It's a little movie. Little independent movie, and I thought the four leads were good. The Carter character, Orson Osman's character, I thought was a little too quick to dissolve into tears. He does that once or twice and a little too much, but overall it rang true. I thought their conversations were good.
I thought it was interesting because
might even make a good play.
Yeah. The person that is sort of like financing this study really just wants to do it for a paper for a university to prove certain theories and possibilities. He wants to write
the leader of the team?
Yeah, that's what he wants.
No, he's got somebody he wants to bring back.
No, that was not the leader. That was the other guy.
That's right, the good-looking young fellow.
Yeah,
right.
He has altered.
Right. But the other guy does too.
Yeah, they all have.
Yeah, they all have.
Well, but you don't find out.
No.
All at once. It all comes out in the story, but one doesn't want to go that extra step. The guy who financed it basically said, I just want to present this to the university. And the other guy wants to bring back a loved one or something like that.
A sister.
And then somebody gets injured and they said, well, there he is. Let's go. Yeah. Let's see if we can do this.
Very stupid.
And the consequences thereafter.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a good movie, but, a very sciencey movie.
Yes.
Not a thriller.
Right.
Very methodical and relatively slow in most parts.
It's pacing, yeah. I wouldn't use the word slow because that makes it sound like it's dull. But yeah, the pacing is not breakneck, which is fine with me. I like to have a story told well, rather than simply quickly.
Even though the Lazarus Effect and this movie deal with the same kind of thing, they're totally opposites. And one's an action movie, and the other one is a science movie.
Yes, the Phoenix Project is superior, I think, of the two.
Yeah, well, it is the more plausible of the two.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Okay, let's our next movie, another biggie, Hunger Games, Mockingjay Part 1.
We're a little lax on this one because it's been out for a long time.
Yeah, well, it's on DVD now. Directed by Francis Lawrence, written by Peter Craig and Danny Strong. Stars the lovely Jennifer Lawrence as Katniss Everdeen. These silly names. Josh Hutcherson as Peeta, Liam Hemsworth. That's Thor's brother.
Yep.
As Gale. Woody Harrelson. Here's another good name. Hamish Abernathy. Donald Sutherland as President Snow. Julianne Moore as President Alma Coyne. And the late, occasionally great Philip Seymour Hoffman as Plutarch Heavensby. It's sad to see him in a movie when he's dead. Everybody does a good job in this, but I didn't much care for the first Hunger Games because I thought, this is aimed at an audience way younger than I am, and it is, of course. But I really liked the second one. I thought the second movie was really good. So I was looking forward to seeing Mockingjay Part 1, but I was disappointed again. Because this is, again, just back to what was in the first movie, which is a lot of jibber-jabber and not a lot of interesting story development.
No.
Just infighting, and you'd almost think that with the death of Philip Seymour Hoffman, the story is missing something, but evidently not. He filmed all but like
one week.
All but one big scene. So that can't be blamed, but it felt inferior. It felt somehow cobbled together.
It felt drawn out.
Yeah.
I felt the same way when I was watching the Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows when they split that up into two. It should have
just been a one-part finale.
Yeah, the first part was just dull.
Right.
It just went on, and they had these weird scenes, and I'm going, why bother keeping this?
Yeah.
And
well, need I point out that they should have only made one Hobbit movie, or at most a two-parter.
I could disagree with you there.
Jesus!
Well, no, okay, two-parter, yeah. Okay, I'll go for that.
Yeah.
But this one...
Barrel racing with hobbits and dwarves is just silly.
I just think that this movie, the Hunger Games, it's just... When they split it up like this, they want to find sort of a balance of starting things up that they know they can have resolution to in the second half. But that's not a way to make a movie. If you're going to make a two-parter, make them two separate movies that have things that kind of like cross over but at least make it satisfying.
Well, they did that with the first one and the second one, really.
Yeah.
Those movies stand alone.
Yeah.
Although the second one leads into this, as arguably does the first one. I mean, the first one didn't even stay true to its own internal rules, which is that there can only be one winner.
Yeah.
And when they change that rule and allow two winners, Well, they ruined it because now it's not the Hunger Games anymore. It's some weird bastardization of what we were expecting. So if they can't even stick to their own damn rules because, they don't want to break up
that's
the little children's romance.
That's the author and the original book. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Do you know that it's like that in the original book?
Of course it is.
You haven't read it, have you?
No.
Good Lord.
Why would they change the ending of the original book?
What are you talking about? They do that constantly.
Well, I think they
do that constantly. Clockwork Orange, the movie, leaves out the whole last chapter. Leaves out a whole huge story explaining what happens to Alex.
Oh, really?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Kubrick, he just asked.
Well, no, it is in fact the American version of the book left the last chapter out.
Oh, really?
Yes. That's the way I read it the first time. It was the American Penguin paperback, and it doesn't include the last chapter.
Is that right?
Yeah. The last chapter, for those who don't know, in the last chapter, our anti-hero, Alex, it's now a couple of years after he's like everything that we know from the movie and the book. And he's in a cafe, and he's looking at some young couple, some young man, young woman, who've got a baby, and he's got a photograph that he's carrying around in his wallet, just something he's torn out of a magazine of a baby, and he can't help. And it's all about Alex growing up. Now he's becoming a member of society, and it was all just his misspent youth. Because the other thing that you don't get from the Kubrick movie, and it's a great movie, I love it, but it was something that he left out. Alex is only like 14.
Right. Right. Whereas he's much older in the movie.
He's supposed to be late teens. I get the idea he's 17 at least. There's a huge difference between 17 and 14.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I just read an interview with McDowell, and he talks about how some roles seem created perfectly for an actor. And he knows that he was Alex. He was so lucky that came along.
Well, he did Caligula around that time.
Awful movie. But he says, he did some great work with Lindsay Anderson. He made the movie If, Oh Lucky Man, Britannia Hospital, which are a series of movies all about the same character, his character. But those are great, but I mean, how can you say anything against Kubrick?
Right.
Arguably the greatest director ever.
No, Peter Jackson.
Jeez. Jackson
Getting back to the
wishes.
Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1, I just found it was too brooding.
Yeah.
They're just trying to milk it, I think. And
I didn't like it.
And PETA, is he betraying everybody? Oh my God!
It's such a little soap opera.
It's become a melodrama. I was going to say
melodrama is kind.
Anyway, so I'm hoping that somebody will slap them all, and the second half will be much better.
Nuclear weapons wipe out every district.
And President Snow, being a Canadian,
right.
It's like he's one of the good guys.
Sure he is. I like Julianne Moore as President Alma, but she didn't have much to do in this movie. One assumes that the good guys will win at the end of Mockingjay Part 2, but, I don't care. Yep. Let's see. So let's talk about one more movie. Eat, 2014 movie, written and directed by Jimmy Weber. It stars Maggie Maddock as Novella McClure, Maru Garcia as her sweet landlady Isha, Jeremy Make as Dr. Simon, and lots of other actors, but no recognizable names. Anyway, what Jimmy Weber has made here in Eat is a movie about a 30-something actress who's not doing very well, and she's taking it out on herself, and rather than have one of those simple eating disorders like bulimia or anorexia nervosa, she actually eats herself.
Now that I didn't see coming.
No, it's a unique horror movie.
Talking about
self-cannibalism.
She starts off by nibbling on her nail.
Yeah. She's driving along and she's chewing like at a hangnail on her thumb, as most of us do. and it starts coming loose, and she just keeps pulling, and it's like a ripcord goes up her hand, down her arm. It's gruesome. I had dreams where, something like that happens. I start unraveling like a wool sweater.
and the beauty behind this is that, she doesn't seem to think it's odd.
No, well, of course not. She's mental. She's very mental.
And she patches it up and bandages it up as best she can, but her friends are going, "What happened to your hand?"
Yeah.
"Oh, I just...
paper cut?
Paper, yeah. And then she starts eating her foot.
Yeah.
Then her leg, and then parts of her body.
And the weird thing is that she's keeping this secret from everybody, including this guy that she's just met who seems real sweet, and then it turns out that he's a shrink, and she's being sent to him because obviously there's something squirrely with her, but nobody knows how bad she is. So when she hobbles into his office one day, she says, "I was in a little car accident. I hurt my hand and I hurt my foot." In fact, there's no flesh left on her toes.
Yeah.
They're just bones sticking out of her stumpy foot. It's so horrible.
Now, the thing with this movie is that I found her acting varied.
Yeah. Well, she's not entirely a likable person. She's rather egotistical, and yet at the same time, her egotism manifests itself with this unbelievable paranoia, because she's got little confidence in herself, but everybody's always talking about her. Everybody's against her, which is an egotism of a kind as well.
Mm.
So, yeah.
No, but I found that the actress playing her...
Right?
There were certain scenes I went, that was kind of amateurish, kind of like the way she... But then she had other scenes where she did really well.
Yeah, yeah.
And I went, well, geez, maybe they were shot at different times.
Yeah.
It might take a long time to shoot a movie that, it'd be years sometimes.
Sure, yeah.
So I did notice that with this movie, that there was some inconsistency in quality of
feel of it. Yeah.
But overall, I think, especially towards the end, it got much better.
Right.
At the very beginning, there was, I'm going, well, this is kind of, bush.
A little amateurish.
Yeah, a little amateur.
Well, that's one of the problems with an independent movie is...
It does take a long time sometimes.
It takes a long time, but more than that, I think, you have to deal with what and whom you've got.
Yeah.
So the director, Weber, I think she does a good job. I was less bothered by it than you. I know what you mean. Like every now and then, she wouldn't be quite as good as the rest of the movie, and it is a little jarring, and it reminds you that she's an actress playing an actress.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. But then she had a soliloquy at one point on stage, and I thought she nailed it.
Yeah.
I thought, wow, she can act.
Yeah.
So.
Oh well, I think I just liked the movie more than you did.
No, I thought it was an interesting movie. Was, like I said, not what I expected to see.
Heck no.
And it got very grisly. So. So it's a fun movie in that respect.
Definitely. Yeah.
It doesn't take itself too seriously.
No.
So I recommend it.
Right.
I mean, it's a good low budget movie, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So, okay, we both liked Eat, Hunger Games, Mockingjay Part 1.
I'm waiting for the second part because it's like I'm waiting for something to start happening.
Right. Yeah, I could give a damn about Part 2. They lost me giving up on Hunger Games. The Phoenix Project is good.
It's not bad.
It's a quiet little movie, but a nice science fiction-y little movie. As Mark says, it's not overt horror, not like the Lazarus Effect where
you have supernatural things happening.
Yeah. And the Phoenix Project I liked significantly better than the Lazarus Effect, which I found okay, but nothing extraordinary.
Yeah.
Hillbilly Horror, check it out if you want to see some short films and have a few laughs. It'd be a good show to drink during. The Avengers Age of Ultron. If you like the first Avengers movie, this is more of the same.
And I think it's less of the same. Right. So I like the first one much better than I like this one.
Yeah, me too.
But I'm going to give it another look to see if I missed something.
James Spader is funny as
Ultron.
As Ultron. He's such a smart
See, I watched The Blacklist, which he stars in as well on TV, so I was used to his voice, and he still has some of his mannerisms from that comes across as Ultron, and I'm going, whoa, he's playing the same character.
Right. Well, I've been a fan of his since Sex, Lies, and Videotape in the early 80s.
He has a great voice. There's no doubt about it. He has a mannerism about the way he talks.
He's a funny, twitchy kind of guy. And, of course, The Walking Dead. Love it. Won't see a new episode until October. However, the new series...
I think it's starting up in the summer sometime.
Yeah, it could be later in the summer.
Yeah, it's... I haven't seen anything about it being shot in town, but all I know is it is being shot in town. So,
a friend of mine, Anne-Marie, who's in the movie biz in the graphics area, she reported that on her Facebook page that it was being shot here, and she's on the inside, so... I believe her.
Well, I was just talking about the industry up in Vancouver. This is the best year they've ever had.
Yeah.
And it's got to do with the dollar being at 80 cents and things like that.
Yeah, we're a bargain, folks.
Yeah, it's like they save right away. They save 20% on their budget by coming up here. So.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's it for this episode. Next week, I'll be talking about It Follows, which I just watched. And Mark and I will both be talking about the ABCs of Death 2, Wormwood, Big Driver, and an old movie starring Jeremy Renner, Dahmer. Jeremy Renner from
Hawkeye.
Age of Ultron. Yeah, the little arrow boy.
The green Hawkeye.
Yeah.